Getting clear on your goals and what you're actually trying to achieve from your training and rehab seems like simple in theory, right? But the more I speak to people, the more I realize that people are actually really detached from the goals that they're working towards, or they think that they know what their goals are, but they're not actually working towards their real goals, things that they value and things that they really want to try and get out of their training so they feel better. Now, let's untangle that a little bit today. If you have a look at the fitness industry and you have a look at the type of marketing that's done, the type of programming that's done, it's all geared towards short-term 12-week challenges or 16-week challenges, and they're selling people an outcome, a dream of an outcome, that if you do this certain thing, you will achieve X results. Now, that is a really flawed system because they're selling you their goals for you. They're not necessarily your goals. And I've had some really interesting conversations with people, and they're jumping between different gyms. They're jumping between different online training programs. And in all honesty, I don't think they're any closer to actually getting towards their real goals. They haven't spent enough meaningful time working towards anything to actually achieve anything that's significant. And because they keep chopping and changing, their mind or their temporary transitionary goals keep changing. The goalposts keep moving for them. So I think in today's episode, I want to go through the thought process around that and show you the flaws with, I suppose, the fitness industry, but how you can navigate for yourself your path towards your goals. And I'm going to share with you a really simple and effective way of doing so at the end. But I want you to know that, the reality is you're not alone. Now, let's start this off. Now, when you look at, say, a CrossFit gym or a powerlifting gym or a bodybuilding gym, people go there because they want to identify as a bodybuilder, as a powerlifter, as a CrossFitter. They go there because they're sold that if they do those certain activities, they will actually become that person. And they've obviously seen some inspiration from people, or there's people that they follow on social media that, may have amazing physiques, and they may, have a tremendous amount of strength and, be completely lean and just look great year round. So people often think that if they become part of those communities, that they will morph into that person. But the question I ask is, what is that perfect person? Like, what is it intrinsically that person is? It's not just doing the training that makes you that person. There's all the other elements of this that makes that person the person. So when you're looking at your actual goals, what you need to actually do is have a look at the qualities that person is doing in order to be a CrossFitter, in order to be a powerlifter, in order to be a bodybuilder. And I think often when we're, especially with newer people in the gym, they're often trying to find their identity. They're trying to find who they are within this very noisy space. And I think it's easy to attach yourself to a thing or a gym or a community. For motivation, yes, it's being part of a collective. It's being part of something that's bigger than you, which is really fun. It's really motivating. But just being part of that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get towards your goals. Now, I hear this all the time. When I reach X body weight, I will be happy. And I've made some reels about this, but it is such a short-sighted goal, because if me as a male, if I said, when I get to 100 kilos, I'm going to be happy. Really what I'm saying to myself is, when I get to 100, I'm going to feel jacked. I have a feeling that I'm going to be lean, and that will make me feel confident in myself. That will make me feel good about having my shirt off. That will make me feel good in myself. Like, that is actually the goal. The goal isn't the 100 kilos. The goal is the feeling or the outcome of what it is you want. So I think often we, in this exact example, we're like, when we get to a certain weight, I'm going to feel great. And that the inverse of that is true. You hear that all the time when people go, I want to lose weight. When I hit 60 kilos, I'm going to feel amazing. And I'm like, well, at 60, how do you know you're going to feel amazing? Because what you actually want to feel is lean. You might want to feel like you've got some definition of muscle mass. You want to feel better in, your swimmers down at the beach. The goal itself of the weight is so irrelevant to how you actually feel. So when we look at it and we assign values to it, it gets really confusing. Now, we often see this in powerlifting, and people will say, I want to squat a certain number, or I want to bench, or I want to deadlift a certain number. And really, they think that once they get to a certain number, that they're going to feel happy about it. And the reality is, once you get to a significant milestone in your training, you're instantly going to change to a new goal. So if I had been chasing a 200 kilo squat, as soon as I hit that 200, I'm going to move straight on to go, I'm going to hit 220 next, because the goal in itself is so transient. There's no real substance to that goal. All that really says to me is this person wants to feel strong. They want to feel confident. They want to feel capable in their body, and they want to continue to keep pushing the boundaries. Like, that is the actual goal. The goal itself isn't the number. That's just like a checkpoint along the way that keeps you motivated, right? So I had this really interesting conversation with a physio client of mine, probably about a month ago now, and they're into boxing, and they're into fighting and training for that. And I had a really interesting discussion where I was like, why are you fighting? Like, are you competitive? Do you just enjoy the training? And really, the whole conversation, we spoke for half an hour, and really the conversation boiled down to that they train really hard in this style of training. So I'm going to drop body fat, and I'm going to look more lean, and I'm going to look like I have more muscle mass. So I'm like, the training component of it is literally irrelevant for a lot of people, because we assign merit and value to the type of training, but really we just want the outcome of the training. And we believe that that is the vehicle to get us there. And that's just such a short-sighted approach to your goal setting, because really, in all honesty, even people in a powerlifting gym, even people in a bodybuilding gym, even people that are just on a weight loss journey, they just want to feel strong, they want to feel capable, and they want to feel confident that they are a person that can do things over and over and over again. And they may not have even had that thought process yet in their head. That's the thing. And they're so caught up in the speed of society, the speed of how things move, and always moving on to the next thing, but not really sort of sitting with it and being like, what am I actually working towards here? What am I trying to get out of my training? And what's my end goal? What's my end point? What will make me happy? And if I draw a line in the sand and I go, okay, well, on this side of the sand, if I hit that goal, I'm going to be super stoked. A lot of people haven't even identified what that is intrinsically. Like, if I hit a 200 kilo squat, I am going to feel confident. I'm going to feel strong. I'm going to feel capable. But they've just said, well, I just want to hit a 200 squat. So you can see how that's kind of like a transient and moving style of thinking. It's not that constructive to keeping you in the game for a longer period of time. Now, what I love about powerlifting and progressive strength training is it almost moves away from what I look like to what I am capable of doing. Now, that in itself is such a powerful way of approaching your training, because if you look at any style of training, if you're progressing and you're getting stronger, if you're building muscle mass, if you're doing some aerobic work and you're controlling your diet in a way that's allowing you to be lean, it's allowing you to look athletic like you lift, that is the best style of training that you can possibly do. And this is the key to goal setting, because you just need to find a vehicle that you feel most confident with and comfortable with to get you towards it. Because really, it doesn't matter what training you do, to be honest with you. It doesn't really matter how you get there, whether you do it from a bodybuilding style approach, whether you do it from Olympic weightlifting, whether you do it from a powerlifting. It needs to be progressive with good technique, where you get better and better each year. That is the key to training, because you're going to build muscle mass. As a result of building muscle mass, you're going to burn more fuel day to day, which means you're going to be able to, one, eat more food, which is really fun, but two, you're going to be better at actually utilizing fuel. So you're going to become leaner, you're going to have more muscle mass, and you're going to feel very confident in yourself. That is the vehicle that you want to be working with. Now, the thing with structured strength training and powerlifting is specifically around that, it's a long-term game. It's not like a short and sharp 12 weeks, I will be at X. It's thinking about, okay, well, I'm going to work on my technique at the start. Once I've got a really good foundation of technique and, movement competency, I'm then going to start to add layers. And you can see it's a continuum. There's no end point to it. You'll have little milestones along the way that you kind of work towards. But in saying that, it's a continuum. So say, for instance, we have 12 months of training. At the end of that 12 months, I want to hit a 1 RM. And at that testing point, I identify, say I'm squatting, identify that my upper back is really weak and I'm rounding out through my back when I squat. That is now giving me valuable information that's going to allow me to then tailor the training program moving forward. So I can now focus a little bit more on my upper back. I can have things that keep me motivated to progressing in the gym, all whilst I'm ticking off these goals that I'm doing in the background. So if you're training progressively, focusing on your diet, focusing on how hard you push your accessories, working at an intensity that is hard enough to drive muscle and strength adaptation, and doing so consistently is the trick. And it just doesn't sound sexy and people do not want to hear it. They're like, it's not fun. I need something challenging. I need to feel like I've worked really hard or been smashed in a training session. That is someone that does not understand training and does not understand that the time spent in the gym shouldn't just be about suffering. It should be about progressing. It should be about getting better technically, because that is the base that allows you to get closer to your goals. Now, if we loop this back into goal setting, is the powerlifting and strength training and that style of training is so powerful for someone because the continuum of it allows you to settle into a style of training for long enough that you will actually intrinsically start to understand what it is you value. Like I see a lot of young males coming into powerlifting that are quite lost, and they're going through puberty, or they're sort of navigating their way through schooling or university, and they're kind of lost in the system of society. They're like, there's so many moving parts, and training is the thing that allows them to be very centered. It brings them to a point where the result of the work that they put in, they get back as a result of their strength, their muscle mass, and their body composition. So for these group of people, the training for them is a catalyst towards their goals, because a lot of the time you don't know what your goals are, or the goalpost shifts as you go. But you might be training for 6 months for powerlifting. Like say this individual was training and they get in and they say, I just want to be strong. But at the 6 month period, they go, well, actually it's not strong that I want it. I want to feel capable and strong, but actually I want to feel like I lift. When I go down the beach and I take my shirt off, I want to feel jacked. That is actually the goal, not the strength component. So you want to align yourself with a style of training that you enjoy and something that you actually can progress with for a long period of time, because the reality is the training component is just the vehicle. Your goals are your goals and they're intrinsic goals. The training component is just the vehicle to get you towards them. And, I'm going to say right now that most people just want to feel good in their skin. They may not say that out loud, but they do. In a society where healthiness is not the standard, it's not the normal, and it also can be frowned upon in a lot of circles. People want to feel confident. They want to feel like they can go into bigger and better rooms and hang out with bigger and better people as a result of their competence, as a result of how they look potentially, because these are the vehicles. It's a sad reality, but when people look at you, they're already judging you. So if you show up to a meeting to meet someone for the first time and, sorry for my words, but if you're sloppy and you're quite overweight, people are already judging you. Now, that's not me casting shame on anywhere. I'm just saying that is society. People are already looking at you. So a lot of people don't want to fit into that category. So intrinsically, their goals are, I want to drop body fat. I want to build muscle mass. I want to feel strong, competent, and able. But the reality is that they don't know what vehicle it is that they need to get them to that point. And often they're getting thrown signals from all these different places, from different training experts, from different online training programs, selling them an illusion of their goal. But the reality is your goal is your goal. And, you know, the vehicle is just training, because at the end of the day, you need to train hard. You need to eat well and stop eating like a child. You need to actually show up for yourself a few times a week, you know, minimum 3, but let's say 4 to 5. And you need to do it in a way that's progressive in nature. And I think if everyone in the fitness industry actually sold this, we would have a much better society. But the reality is what we're doing is we're selling short dreams to make a buck. Unfortunately, a lot of people are, which, you know, at the end of the day, it is helping a lot of people, but it's very short-sighted. It's looking at it as a 12 or 16 week period, when really we should be trying to entice people to train for a longer period. Like, that is where the real goals set out. Like, you know, one example before I finish up is, you know, I'll often get people that will come in and, you know, they might power lift for, you know, 12, 24, 36 months, but then kind of get over having to work so hard, like being on the threshold of, you know, potential injury or having to deal with a lot of niggles. And they might go, you know what, I am strong. I am capable. I love training, but I don't want to be on the absolute border of injury every single session that I train. So they go, well, you know what? I actually just want to focus more so on muscle building, but using my strength to then build muscle, you know? So people will often shift and change their goals as they move through their training journey as well. So moral of the story, friends, is if you're starting out in your training journey, go and find a gym, a community, a group of people that you could train with for at least 12 to 24 to 36 months. Because the reality is a lot of people do not actually know what their specific goal is that they want yet. And if you are in the environment with the right people that are all pushing towards their own goals, they're doing so in a safe, progressive manner, tying in nutrition, tying in aerobic fitness, and they've got everything in one spot, that is what's going to help you figure out the best path towards your goals. And you'll have so many milestones along the way, but you'll probably figure out the clarity, because then it's not about fun and interesting. It's about just doing the sets and doing the reps and showing up daily, and you know that you're on track towards your goals. That's it for today's episode, guys. I'll see you in the next one.